Hey everybody, it's Brent again. So what we're going to try to do today is a series of shorter lab videos over gait. And so I'm going to just kind of start off with the general terms, then we'll go through the cycle, the gait cycle and the different traditional terminology and Ranchos Los Amigos terminology and what those really look like. And then we'll finish off with some of the gait deviations. Alright, so first things first, just the terminology of gait. Your step length, okay, is just from here to here, right? One leg goes forward, the heel hits, you stop, that's your step length. Stride length is both feet, right? So step forward with one, step forward with the other. Where that heel hits, that's your stride length. And then there are the measurement. Step width is how far my feet are apart as I'm walking, right? And then your toe out is a measurement of the angle, right? See how my toes kind of angle out a little bit? Most feet should angle out about 7 degrees, okay? Then the other terminologies are cadence, which is just how far you can walk in a minute, and miles per hour, which is how far you can walk in an hour, obviously. Alright, okay, so gait cycle terminology. So when you're doing gait cycle, you want to focus only on, and you are now, one foot at a time, one leg at a time. And so when you see those terms in your Canvas notes, we're only looking, it's only talking about one leg at a time. As one leg is doing one thing, the other leg is technically doing a completely different thing in that gait cycle. So the first step in the gait cycle is when you swing your leg forward and your heel hits as you go down, that is heel strike or initial contact, okay? And then as you come forward, right, you start to bear all your weight on your foot, but your back leg is still bearing weight too, and that's called foot flat because your foot is flat, or loading response, okay? Then as I come forward with my other foot and start to swing forward, that's mid stance, right? So I'm right in the middle of my stance. All my weight is on my right leg in mid stance, okay? Then the other leg comes forward and it does its initial contact and starts its loading response. And the next phase with my right foot is what's called heel off or terminal stance, okay? So I'm starting to raise my foot to bring this forward, okay? So toe off, right? My toe starts to come off and pre-swing, okay? Same thing, toe off and pre-swing. And then I bring this leg forward, which is acceleration or initial swing as I start to bring it forward. And then mid-swing for both, right? I'm right in the middle of the swing right here. And then finally, as I start to slow down just before initial contact again, or heel strike, that's terminal swing, okay? Okay, so next we're going to talk about gait deviations and gait analysis. And first I'm going to show you the ones that are in your book, and then I'm in the Canvas notes, sorry. And then I'm going to talk about just some other deviations that you'll see, and I'm going to have you watch me walk and then have you watch my wife walk, because we both have some deviations as well, and see if you guys can pick those up. So the first gait that the Canvas notes talk about is antalgic gait. And so antalgic gait, I'm going to pretend that I had a right knee replacement, okay? So antalgic gait is that the person doesn't want to hold as much weight on that leg as they should, and so it shortens their swing phase of the other leg. So my right leg is injured, and my left leg, I don't want to stand on this right leg in that stance phase as any longer than I have to. So the swing phase of the left leg is shortened, right? So it's something like this, right? And so instead of stepping all the way through like I normally would, you develop this kind of limp, right? And it's just because I don't want to put much weight on this leg. And the more you watch it, the more you'll see it. But it's not the leg you're standing on. It's not the leg you're swinging that's the issue. I mean, it's the leg you're standing on with that. The next one that it really talks about, I think, or at least one of the other ones, is called foot drop. This is usually caused by stroke or some type of nerve damage to tibialis anterior, right in here. And so the dorsiflexors don't kick in during the swing phase, and so they just kind of remain in this action right here. The toe never lifts up and comes through. It just kind of drags. Okay? It's dangerous because you have a tendency to catch your foot as you go through, and it's a fall risk. And so we do work a lot with patients on trying to correct that foot drop. Then the next one that you will commonly see is circumduction, okay, of the hip. And so for this one, Noah, if you could pan up just a little bit more towards my hips. So with circumduction, what's going on is usually they have like weak hip flexors and aren't able to lift their hip up enough, or they don't have enough knee flexion to get the knee to clear. So to get the leg around, they're not able to do this action. So what they do is they hike up their hip and circumduct. Okay, they make a little circle with their leg as they walk. So that's kind of what circumducted gait is. They'll go here. I've got an aunt that walks like this. Okay, you see lots of people with hip problems, and or if they've had some type of fusion in the leg, I've seen it as well, where they do this number. So they walk with a circular kind of half moon pattern in one of their legs. Okay, and then the final one that the Canvas notes talk about is Trendelenburg gait. And this one's weird, and I'm going to have a harder time doing it. But it's caused by weakness in the stance leg gluteus medius. Okay, so I'm going to pretend like my right hip, my right gluteus medius is weak. And so when I go to step, right, once I hit this phase and I'm supposed to start swinging my other leg, the gluteus medius side, the right side will shift over and the left side will drop down like that. Okay, so it's something like that. Okay, I'm not very good at that one because I don't have that problem, but that's what it looks like. You drop every time you hit it. And when you see somebody who has it, sometimes they'll have it on both sides and they'll really sway. Kind of a catwalk. It's actually caused by gluteus medius weakness. And so those are the 4 gait deviations that it's talked about in the Canvas notes. But now I'm going to have you focus on my feet and how I normally walk. And I want to show you, just for the sake of it, you won't be tested on this, but just some deviations that you might see. I have what's called collapsed arches. My medial arch just doesn't exist, and so my foot over pronates. So I want you to watch as I walk, okay, and see after my heel strike and as I start to go into that loading response or foot flat phase, my heel turns in, my whole foot kind of turns in medially. So watch. You see how it collapses like that? It's not normal. It's caused by that collapsed arch. My navicular and my cuneiforms kind of push down. And so I'm going to actually have my wife come over now and have her do a walk, because she has the opposite issue from me. She actually has varus ankles, so you can, if you want to focus on her, and if you watch, her feet tend to roll out. And so it's funny because my shoes, go ahead and do it one more time and see if they can kind of see. If you watch in her swing phase, she comes down on the outside of her foot. Hopefully you could see it. I come down on my heel, she tends to, because she has varus ankles, overly supinated ankles, she comes down on the outside of her foot before she gets that roll in, kind of like I do. And so her boots and stuff like that tend to always have this angle to them. And it's because of, she has too high of an arch. Oh, and there's our dog. But she has too high of an arch. So anyways, hopefully this video or these videos give you some ideas of the gait stuff. If you have any questions, please let me know.